In the previous episode of Tayou's story, we saw how Tayou dreamed of someone kidnapping his girlfriend, Mitsuomi. Tayou decided to go to Futuba so she could train him quickly, and after much urging from him, she agreed. Tayou went and got all his things because he was going to live in the Yazakura family mansion. Tayou's hellish full life began with traps and harsh training. As the end of the training month approached, specifically 1 week before its end, injuries were severely exhausting Tayou, but he was recovering and continuing. Tayou completed the month and became stronger, and was able to overcome many obstacles. The computer recognized him as one of this spy family. But the joy was not complete, as they brought him a shirt weighing 100 kilograms, my friend, instead of 50 kilograms for him to wear. Tayou then realized that dark days were ahead. What will happen with Tayou after he becomes a member of the Yazakura family and passes many training? This is what we will find out in today's episode. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button. Now, let's get started and see what happens to Tayou. We see Tayou and Shinzo walking around the house together, and Tayou heading out to school. Shinzo says Tayou looks tired today. The days following training were tough for Tayou, but he prepared for his first mission as a member of the Yazakura family. Tayou asked Shinzo if he was going on a mission, and he assured him that it would be easy. Shinzo explained that the mission was to recover an original painting from a forger, and that he would not delay returning. Tayou took the opportunity before Shinzo left to ask him something. In another scene, Mitsui is walking around with Tayou on the school playground, expressing her astonishment at the habits of her siblings, especially Shinzo and Kyotaro, when they wake up in the morning. Suddenly, a powerful baseball shot towards Tayou. Peso shouted to warn him, but Tayou managed to stop the ball with his hand without even looking at it, much to everyone's surprise. The baseball players stood in awe of Taiwo's skill and quick movement. Then Tayou returned the ball with tremendous force, so much so that it tore the glove of the player who tried to block it. The players tried to convince Tayou to join them, impressed by his exceptional skill. While Tayou and Mitsumi were eating lunch at school, Tayou noticed Mitsumi staring at him. She told him that the training he had undergone had made him much stronger, and that he had even gone beyond the limits of an ordinary human to become superhuman. She warned him that not paying attention to this supernatural power might attract people's attention. She added that some had already begun to notice his speed of movement and silence, and they even called him ninja. Mitsuomi grabbed a piece of cucumber and asked Tayou jokingly, "Where is this cucumber going? Come on, open your mouth." Tayou opened his mouth, and at the last moment Mitsuomi pulled the option, saying, "Sorry, darling, I forgot something important." Then she asked him to help her with a task they would do together at home after school. Tayou immediately agreed, saying, "My eyes are yours, Lady of Women." After returning home, they set about accomplishing the task. Mitsuomi found piles of papers in front of her on the desk, and she began stamping them very quickly. Tayou was handing her the papers, and she was stamping them without stopping. Then she said, "The guarantees are $100,000 less," and asked Tayou to review the papers for the client. "There are still 4 apartment complexes to review. Long night, my dear," she added. And so Tayou helped Mitsumi get her work done. Tayou admired Mitsuomi's ability to arrange all these documents, describing it as strange and strange. Mitsuomi replies that she is used to it, and that administrative work is an integral part of her duties as president, managing the estates and family finances. Mitsumi told Tayou that her brother Kiyoshiro sometimes hides fake divorce papers, and asked him to burn them if he found them. Indeed, Tayou found a forged divorce paper for him and Mitsumi, so he immediately tore it up, muttering, "To ruin your house, Kiyoshiro, get me out of your head, man." Mitsumi and Tayou went to Kengo's room and knocked on the door. Kengo shouted from inside, asking them not to enter because he was too busy with the game he was playing. They were not convinced by his words, so they opened the door and entered. Tayou and Mitsuomi were shocked by the complete chaos in the room, with clothes and belongings piled up disgustingly. Kengo appeared from the piles of clothes, surprised by their invasion of his privacy. Mitsuomi angrily tells him that he didn't put the documents in the report for the 5,000th time, and that she's tired of neglecting him, and he needs to get out of this mess. Kenjo replied coldly, "Sister, it's only a volume or two, it's no big deal." Mitsumi assured Kengo that he was a neglectful person and would never change. Tayou tried to calm the situation. Tayou confirmed that the documents were somewhere inside the room, and that he would start looking for them. He asked Kengo for help, but Kengo advised him not to, warning him that there were bombs and weapons everywhere. Indeed, while searching, Tayou found a bomb in his hands, so he screamed in terror, "Fuck you, Kengo!" Mitsumi got angry and said, "I'll discipline you, Kengo. Let's go." He ran out of the room. When Tayou turned to stand, he found himself looking at an exact copy of Mitsuomi. Tayou was stunned by the shock, and at that moment the real Mitsuomi appeared and used her ring to activate stability mode, which closes all the doors and windows of the palace and surrounds the house with an iron fence. "If you are a man, get out of the palace now!" Mitsumi Kenjo said defiantly. Meanwhile, in a heavily guarded factory, scientists are hard at work. This was where Shinzo was on his mission, hiding in the vent. He was using special glasses designed by Shion, which have magnification capabilities, X-ray vision, photography, and other useful features. Shinzo was monitoring the situation closely and discovered that the painting he came for was surrounded by an elaborate and extremely dangerous security system. On that day, the factory manager visited the place to check on the progress of work. One of the workers asked about the situation, and the worker replied that they control 60% of the market in terms of counterfeit plates, and that they have set up a production line to export abroad. "It's all thanks to the young man," the manager commented. Shinzo was eavesdropping on them and knew that someone was running this operation behind the scenes. He started photographing the place using his glasses. Then he was able to get rid of the guards and head to the place where the original and fake painting was located. When Shinzo opened the safe and took the painting, the alarm went off automatically. Shinzo realized that he had fallen into a trap and said, "No to treachery." Shinzo ran out to save himself. At the same time, Tayou and Mitsumi were looking for Kengo and started with Mitsumi's room. They used a temperature detector but found nothing. Tayou noticed the many devices and strange objects in the room, so Mitsuomi told him that she had deprived herself of practicing archery outside the house for a long time because of a hired killer who was chasing her. So she brought these things to entertain herself and relieve the anxiety and tension that she was feeling. Tayou saw the picture that Mitsumi drew of her siblings and noticed that Kyoshiro's features were distorted. "It's obvious who was worrying her," Tayou commented. Then he went to Sean's room, knocked on the door, and entered. He found her doing physical exercises while standing on her hands, so he jokingly asked her if she was playing hide-and-seek with Kengo again. Siwon denied this, adding that she is very bad at physical games. Tayou commented, "If you can't play, why are you playing?" Mitsuomi thanked Shion and they left the room. They then headed to Futuba, who was sleeping. Mitsumi suggested that they let her sleep because if she woke up, she would turn them into French fries. They then went to Nanao, and he was wearing a gas mask. Nanao told them that Kengo didn't come and no one saw him, and if he had come here, he would have already died. They thanked him and left. They continued searching for Kengo in the room where the dog was sleeping. The room was very luxurious and filled with tanks and many other things. Tayou liked the room very much, but they didn't find Kengo there either, so they left. There is only one room left to search, which is Kyoshiro's content room. When they opened the door, Tayou was shocked by the amount of pictures hanging on the walls and smiled evilly. "Let's get out of here because we're wasting our time," Mitsumi said to Tayou. But Mitsumi assured him that it was impossible for Kengo to leave due to the stable mode that blocked all exits in the house. Suddenly, Futoba appeared with Nanao and Shion and asked them, "What's wrong?" Tayou tells them that they are looking for Kengo and can't find him. Shion said to Futoba, "Girl, are you still playing the same game?" Tayou and Mitsuomi were surprised and asked them, "Where were you?" They replied that they were analyzing the substance they confiscated from the drug smuggling gang that they defeated last week, and it turned out to be third-degree drugs with a concentration of 10%, which is a high concentration. "It's impossible for this to last," Futoba commented. Tayou and Mitsumi, when they saw Futoba and the rest coming from outside, realized that all the people they met were Kengo in disguise, and that he tricked them with this game. Suddenly, they looked behind them to find Kengo hiding in the Mona Lisa. Kenjo ran away, so they shouted, "Where do you think you're going? Come here." They ran after Kengo, and when they entered the room, Tayou told Mitsuomi that Kengo hit him on the head. Mitsuomi reassured Tayou, then asked where Kengo was. He pointed her to a secret passage in the wall and said, "He escaped from here." Mitsuomi was angry because it was the first time she had seen this corridor, and it was not found on the palace map either. I confirmed that it was Kengo who created it. Mitsuomi was tired of being chased and shouted, "He managed to escape from me." Tayou tried to calm her down, saying, "You did what you had to do." Mitsuomi used the ring again to disable study mode, opening all the windows and doors. They then headed to Kengo's room to search for the documents. Tayou opened the door and went in first, and suddenly Mitsumi handcuffed Tayou, saying, "I've got you, Mr. Kenjo." Tayou said in surprise, "Kenjo? I'm Tayou." "Escaping from the palace in stationary mode is impossible, so I wanted to disable it in any way," Mitsuomi answered. "Kenjo's bad trick made me disable stationary mode. He tricked Tayou into the trap in the corridor and then disguised himself as himself. Among the things I noticed is that when Tayou he opened the door let me in first, but this time he entered before me, so I would be the winner. Then, pay close attention to the smallest details of the people who use my appearance to move around," Mitsuomi Kenjo said. "You still have a long time to find out what is going on between me and my husband." After that, Kengo remembered his mother telling him that he was now a big brother, and he should hold his sister's hand and never let go of her. Then he took off the mask and said to Mitsuomi, "You won, and this is the least I expect from the leader." After that, they sat together to search for documents in his mess of things. Kengo said, "I'm sorry for what I did to you, Tayou." Tayou replied, "The most important thing is that Mitsumi was happy and enjoying the game." Finally, they found the documents, and Mitsumi took them and left. Kyoshiro was standing in front of a picture of Mitsuomi, on which someone had written in pen. "I've been exposed," Kyoshiro said to himself. He then went to Tayou, who was eating the food that Mitsumi had prepared for him, and complimented her cooking. Mitsuomi was so happy that he enjoyed it. Shinzo is very late in his mission. Contrary to what he said, he will come back quickly, Tayou thought to himself. Tayou asked Mitsuomi if there was anything new, but he stopped talking and went back to talking about food. Tayou asked her, "What did you use to cook?" She replied, "I used alpine." Pine, my friend, is a toxic substance to living organisms. Tayou felt a pain in his stomach as soon as he heard that, and suddenly the phone rang. Tayou got up to respond, feeling extremely dizzy from the poison. At one point, he found Shinzo talking to him on the phone, asking him to call Mitsuomi to save him. Mitsuomi came and turned the call into a video call, only to find Shinzo screaming and crying and asking her to help him quickly. Mitsuomi tried to calm him down, telling him, "Remember how many bullets a weapon can hold." Indeed, Shinzo managed to stop screaming and crying. After Shinzo calms down, he tells them that he clashed with a gang, ran out of ammunition, and that without weapons he can't handle anyone. He is too weak. Tayou understood that Shinzo was very good at using weapons, but without them, he was just an ordinary and very weak person. Mitsuomi wanted to deliver the weapons to Shinzo, thought of a trick, then looked at Tayou. Indeed, Tayou went to deliver the weapons and help Shinzo. Mitsuomi spoke to Tayou and said to him, "I will give you the weapons and I will guide you on the way while I try to calm my brother down." Tayou's mission began, and he entered the place stealthily. Meanwhile, Mitsumi was telling a story to her brother Shinzo, who was collapsing in fear. Suddenly, a person appeared from behind Tayou, grabbed him, pointed a gun at him, and asked him, "What are you doing here?" Tayou said to himself, His life must have been saved, but he remembered the method Shinzo taught him to deal with someone pointing a weapon at him. Tayou moved quickly and pushed the person back to keep him away. When Mitsuomi heard the sound of the quarrel over the phone, she tried to check on Tayou, but he was unable to answer her as he found himself surrounded by other members of the gang. Tayou tried to focus and listen to the sounds of their footsteps and discovered that they were 3 people armed with pistols and knives. They attacked him, but he was able to repel their first and second blows. Then someone came and stabbed Tayou with a knife, but fortunately, his clothes were stab-resistant. Tayou pounced on them, threw them to the ground, and completely dominated them. Tayou grabbed the gun Shinzo gave him because he would be exposed to situations like this on his missions. Meanwhile, Mitsuomi was still telling Shinzo to calm him down until Tayou got to him. Suddenly, someone opened the door, and before Tayou could turn around, he found that Shinzo had gotten rid of him very quickly using a gun. His flame has returned. Shinzo shot 2 others and disposed of them quickly and skillfully. Then he gave Tayou the plate and said to him, "No one will be able to shoot you if you carry this plate." He asked him to follow him, and Shinzo went out and attacked the gang members, beating and knocking them out, inflicting a crushing defeat on them. After he finished defeating them, he opened fire on the rest, and they fled in terror. Suddenly, Tayou was shot in the leg, and his blood began to bleed profusely. The person who fired the gun said to Shinzo, "Stand there, or he will die." He added, "Whoever gets hit by a bullet in this place dies after 3 minutes. Don't worry, I will tell you everything you want to know before I die." The man told Shinzo, "If you want to save your friend, you should put down your weapon immediately." Shinzo is forced to do this to save Tayou. Tayou remembered Mitsuomi's words when she gave him the weapons, where she said to him, "Even my brother Shinzo, who loves weapons, would give them up in an instant, and without any thought to protect the people dear to him." For this reason, she asked him to give Shinzo something like a fork in case of emergency. Indeed, Tayou did so and threw the fork towards Shinzo, who caught it. Mitsuomi knew that Shinzo, even if what was not in his hand was a weapon, would turn anything he touched into a deadly weapon. Shinzo grabbed the fork and threw it at the person's gun, destroying it. While the person tried to pull out another weapon, Shinzo was much faster than him, and he grabbed the weapon and shot him. On their way back home, Shinzo told Tayou to carry the counterfeit billboard for the money. On the way, Tayou apologized for causing the problem, but Shizo told him that this was not true and that he did not make a mistake. But Tayou said on the contrary, "I have become a burden to you." "Mitsumi is definitely worried about you right now," Shinzo said. Tayou said, "Since you mentioned her name, you ran out of ammo because of her. Will she be okay?" "Don't remind me of that, or I'll start crying again," Shinzo replied. Then he added, "I will adapt to this situation. Despite my condition, I will still be your big brother." Tayou felt happy from his words. Suddenly, a person appeared at the scene carrying a hammer, pulling a woman behind him and saying to him, "If you confess." The scene ends with the appearance of a mysterious person threatening a woman, which raises questions about what will happen in the next episode. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy the content and want to follow more exciting videos, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button so that you are the first to receive updates and new videos as soon as they are published.